At ease. It's your boy Soul Immortal. Man, it is 0 dark 30 in the morning. I get a text from the complex right here where I live at. And the text says that the roads are washed out. Nobody's able to leave. Right? So I read the text and I'm like, let me get up and assess the situation. So I steps out the bed and boom. I steps in about 2 or 3 inches of water. My whole place is flooded, right? So now I'm coming up here, man, and I'm looking at the pond that used to be low, and now I see, which I know you can't see that, guys. So the pond is street level. I'm looking at the roads, and they both appear to be washed away. Now the thing is this, life happens, right? No big deal. But the thing is this, I have somewhere to be. My son is down in Houston, and one of his favorite players, Odell Beckham Jr., is playing tonight. Got us some good tickets, 50-yard line, right behind the bench. And now it seems like I won't be able to get out of here. But you know what, man? It's something in me that tells me I know myself. And it's something in me that tells me I know I'll get there somehow or another. And the reason behind that is because of one thing that I know. And that's that all things work for the good of those that believe. Let's talk about it. See, man, we've talked about faith, we've talked about meditation and creation, but once all that is done, then what? See, then is when you need to stand completely on your beliefs, right? See, sometimes you'll be manifesting things, man, and it'll be coming just so easy, kind of like Neville Goddard said, you'll think in your mind like this would have happened anyway because it's coming so easy. It may be getting a vehicle. It may be bringing a special kind of person in your life. It may be getting a job, or it might be just meeting a certain type person. Some things that you manifest will be very easy, man, and you just begin to live daily life like this. But on the other side, sometimes the universe will take you on a scenic route. Right? Sometimes when you're being stubborn or you're not taking enough action, the universe will kind of give you a shove, or it may just take you a route that you just completely had no idea that was coming your way, right? I remember when I was, I had to be about 19 or 20 years old, right? And, I was dating. I was dating the young lady that I will marry in a few years, right? And at 20 years old, all I wanted was like some foundation. I was living in a small town of Longview, man, and I was just like, I just want some foundation in my life, like something solid, like a career, so I can start a family, at that point in time, the American dream, in other words. And I was thinking this. Now this is all hindsight, me looking back at it, right? So I'm thinking this, man. So I'm drawing this in my life. And a guy that I grew up with, my best friend actually, he was in the military at the time. And I just happened to cross paths with him back home. He came over, man. We had a few beers in my apartment. And he was just like, you need to join the military, man. It's like this, and this is how it's set up. And if you got a family, it's like this. If you got kids, he broke the whole thing down to me in one night. And I was like, wow, like that seems promising. And in my mind, I'm thinking that's what I've been wanting, that kind of foundation. But I didn't act on it. You know, I let my fears jump in and give me 1,001 reasons why I shouldn't. Long story short, this is the route that the universe took me. Now, I would say about a month, not even a month, after my friend left, I had a job as a delivery driver. That just went to crap, man. So I got a temporary job at a factory that lasted for about, 3 weeks, maybe a month and a half, I can't remember. And then I got another job. It was a permanent position, but it was crappy. I was on an assembly line, man, like a robot. And there were just like people all around us just doing robot type activities. It sucked. Paid the bills, but it sucked. They came in one day and said that we had, I think like 14 days left before they were going to shut this department down. And I was like, gosh, man, like I can't get a break. And I can't remember what led. I don't know if I got some kind of something in the mail or something, but I got something about the recruiter. Went to the Army station that day. Long story short, signed up, took the test and all that stuff. And the day they came in and told us that today was our last day, when I got off, the military called me that day and said, hey, are you ready to go to the MEP station? I was like, perfect timing. And I look back and I'm thinking, like I knew what I wanted in life. I knew what I was subconsciously asking for. And when the universe presented it to me, I froze up. I got scared. So in some cases, man, the universe will just give you a shove, and the thing is this. You have to understand that all things work for the good. Now this is just for the believers, right? Because see, I could have looked down and said that, dang, I'm losing job after job. But what I didn't understand at the time is that there was a greater scheme of things working, And I've been laid off so many, a handful of jobs rather over the last 20 years. I've been laid off, 2 or 3 times, and each time I just learn and learn. And this is the thing. I look back and I say, if I wasn't laid off, then I wouldn't be where I was. And what I start to notice, it was just the universe giving me a push. For example, when I got laid off, when I told you about the time I got laid off and divorced in the same day, man, that was such a powerful day. That was such a shift in my life. Now, it was crappy because I lost my job. Not only that, I lost some income because now I was divorced and child support was coming in and all this other stuff. Life was looking horrible. But on that day, man, I knew. I said, you know what, man, something special is happening because this is just too crazy. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I got laid off that day, I walked around and I was shaking all the men's hand. I was hugging all the women's neck. And someone was looking at me like, is this dude high? And it was just because at that point in my life, I understood. At least I had a certain level of understanding. I said, I knew that this was the universe getting ready to give me something good. Now it got worse before it got better, but I knew that it was something special happening, man. And again, man, I can't say it enough. The thing is, you have to know, you have to believe, man, that once you put this faith in place, once you get to meditating and creating, the world is gonna start shifting. A lot of things are gonna be taking place for your dreams to come true. But it's very important that you remember that no matter what's taking place, all things are working for the greater good. See, I can't reiterate enough how important it is to keep your eyes on the prize. That's why racehorses wear blinders. You know what I mean? but so they can keep their eyes on the finish line. Because sometimes you may have jockeys falling off on the right. You might have horses tripping on the left. You might have somebody right there on your side. But it's irrelevant to your goals. That's why it's important to stay straight. And the same thing happens in life. You know, you may have friends that are going to prison for things you told them to stop doing a long time ago. You might be losing a job. You might be going through a divorce. But you have to understand that all that stuff going on is just extra. You need to be focused here. Stuff is going to be happening, man. You know, when I got my divorce, man, I wanted a certain life. You know, and the thing is, at that point in time in my life, it wasn't that I wanted a certain lifestyle or wanted things. I'd had all this junk, all these cars and motorcycles and you name it. All I wanted, man, was peace. At that point, I didn't want anything else. And I can tell you, man, when I was sitting at home, you know, with no power and with no food to eat, I knew for a fact things were working because it sucked, but I had peace of mind. And there was nothing like that. The thing to remember is just to always act as though things were. And it goes back to you, you know, if you want a job or if you want wanting a certain lifestyle or if you wanting a certain person, it doesn't matter. Act as though things were. That's why it's so important to live with those blinders on. No matter what the obstacle is, man, just keep seeing it in your mind, right? Yesterday morning, I woke up, you know, just a couple of hours before I was having to get on the road to go take my son to this game that I promised him, right? So I get up and my apartment is flooded. I'm walking around in a few inches of water. You know, I got a text showing that the roads were blocked, we're about to be able to leave for a couple of hours. Now that was chaos. You know what I mean? To wake up, you know, when surge protectors are underwater and all that stuff. I went outside to assess the situation. But this is what I did. I walk back in the house. I sit in this chair right over here that I meditate in. And with my feet still sitting in a couple of inches of water, I just closed my eyes for about 30 to 45 seconds. And I pictured myself at the game. You know, I saw myself pulling up to the stadium. I saw me and my son, you know, walking toward the stadium, talking about the things that Odell Beckham would do today. I saw myself watching some of the plays going on. And not only did I just picture it, but I felt it. I could smell it. You know what I'm saying? I was there. And that's the way you have to be, man. That's the way you overcome obstacles. That's the way you move mountains. Before you know it, things will just start to happen. Now, this is the thing I really want you to hear. Once these things start to happen, or matter of fact, once you get to the place and you're looking back on what happened, you will realize a lot of things, right? And one of the most important things you'll realize is you have a full understanding on why you went through it. And a lot of times it's not even about you. It's about the people in your circle, right? Because when you go through a divorce, when you lose a job, or when you're down and out and you have nothing, I'm telling you, one of the main things you need to focus on, or pay attention to rather, is the people around you. And that's the time you really want to weed people out, because that's when people are going to show you if they're really in your corner or not. So just remember that, guys, when you're down and out, oh, yes, it's going to be bad, but just keep your eyes focused on the end goal. But at the same time, observe everything around you. And I guarantee you it'll all make sense. In a nutshell, man, all I want to say is dream big. Dream big. And the other thing is to live life without fear. And that's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. There are a lot of things that I do now, man, that 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, man, that I was fearful of doing. Now, it feels like once I get a feeling or feel good about something, man, I jump on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way you need to live your life, without fear. That's how we're supposed to live. We talked about faith. We talked about creation, meditation. Now it's time that we put all that stuff to work and stand on our beliefs and just watch it all unfold. You have to know what's going to unfold, guys. But the thing is, it's our job to keep our minds on the end goal and not necessarily on how it's going to happen. Let the universe decide how it's going to happen. You just ride the wave. That's all I got, guys.